Selling Sunset Season 7 review. Believe it or not, I actually tried to be on Nicole's side at first because I also didn't understand why they were making such a big deal out of her calling Emma a social climber. Like, so what? Are we really gonna act like that's a huge insult? When Amanda came through and said, if you really called Emma a social climber, I can't fuck with you anymore, I was just like, why exactly? Amanda was just doing the most the entire season, and she was flip-flopping hard in the beginning. Not to mention, Brie called Nicole a social climber at that dinner, which is how they all got into this conversation in the first place. And Amanda didn't give a heck. So how come it wasn't a big deal for Brie to call your old friend a social climber, but it was such a huge deal that she called Emma a social climber to the point where you can't fuck with her anymore? Make it make sense, Amanda. She just got on my nerves the entire season with her horrible fashions and her lack of sense. And her forcing the O group to be a family is so weird to me. Like, babe, grow up. These are your colleagues, and that is okay. Also, she was being a total hypocrite because she kept preaching about how they all needed to stop the bitchiness and the bullying like somebody made her god. But then she was coming for Alexandra unprovoked. And don't get me wrong, I don't like Alex or anything. But she barely knew her because she kept calling her the girl in the orange dress. And her saying, oh, why are you in a Fashion Nova dress? Like, that was just such an unprovoked shot. All because she's salty that they're making more money at the OC brokerage than they are at the LA brokerage. Like, girl, grow up. Chrishell's beef with Mary Lou. The second-hand embarrassment I felt for Mary Lou watching this scene. And people kept giving her the excuse that it's because she's young. She is 25 years old. She's still a grown-ass woman. For her to sit Chrishell down and tell her that this all stemmed from the fact that she wouldn't follow her on Instagram and she didn't ask her enough questions, how embarrassing. Like, have some self-respect. And Mary Lou is a scary kind of liar. Because how is she going to get on the phone to Jason and say that Chrishell said she was jealous? Telling on yourself, babes, by the way. And then later on in the season, she said that Chrishell threatened her. Do you know how terrifying that level of lying is? That you could say some bullshit like that, like there's not cameras here. My favourite moment of the entire season, by the way, Chrishell having to remind her, you do know these cameras are recording you, right? Nicole went back to getting on my nerves very quickly because what did Chrishell actually do for her to be this pressed? Can somebody please tell me? Because from what I remember, she started everything last season. So what is her problem? I personally don't care for Brie. She really doesn't provide much to the show for me other than being number 5 of 6 of Nicholas Cannon's harem. And she was another one that was dragging some old, stale, unappetizing beef. Because what do you actually want from Chelsea at this point? She's not talking about you anymore. And everything she's saying, pretty much nearly everybody thinks the same. So if you're going to be mad at her, be mad at everybody. Be mad at the world. Be mad at yourself. Her beef with Cassandra made me realise that she's more insecure about this situation with Nick than she's letting on. Because she seemed to have an issue with all the married women on the cast, I started to realise. I didn't like Nicole, but she was so happy to jump into the beef, and that confused me because she barely spoke to her last season. Dragging this beef with Chelsea, and Cassandra walks up to her and gives her 2 compliments, and she starts acting like a psychopath. So yeah, I think that she's very triggered by happily married women, and she needs to unpack that. With the exception of Mary, because you'd look like a crazy person if you tried it with Mary, because Mary is so obviously not about that life. And then her coming in at the end, randomly having that fight with Jason about the commission split. I do get it. 80-20 is a very shitty commission split, so I get her having an issue with it. But you have sold one house, as far as we've seen, and you really think you're in a position to come and negotiate your commission split when he hasn't even done it for the likes of Mary and Chrishell and Chelsea, who are actually selling properties and making money for the brokerage. Girl, please go. Like, just please go. Because that really is the solution to your problem. Just go to another brokerage then. To be honest, she seems a little bit delusional where it comes to her real estate career, because the fact that she really thought that she should have got that 10 mil house above Chelsea, who's actually making sales, you're funny. And it's really hilarious to me that she seems to think that bringing in celebrity clients is enough. Like, you're not the only one. They've all done that. Didn't we see Mary selling Taye Diggs' house one season? Last season, I believe, they were selling French Montana's house. Like, you're not the only one bringing in celebrity clients. You walking around with Sweetie is not good enough, babe. Jason and Brett opening up this brand new office in LA for the brokerage when they would not stop going on about the mansion tax and how much it's affecting their sales. It seems like a very interesting financial decision. I get that they usually take risks and it's worked well for them, but we are just in a terrible economy as it is at the moment. It just seems like this is a really unnecessary decision to plunge yourself into this much financial stress for no reason other than you just feel like it. And then to put the pressure on the whole team to make sales because you are spending money unnecessarily. Yeah, Jason takes the piss and he can do things like this because half of his brokerage is filled with his old friends and ex-girlfriends. Because in any normal situation, a regular employee would just be like, well, that sounds like a personal problem. Because getting a new office is one thing, but why does it have to be so extravagant and expensive as well? You could tell Brett just wanted to throw all the debris in his face by the time they were done with that argument, and I understand. I did like this season a lot more than last season, actually, so I'm really looking forward to the reunion. But at the same time, I low key can't help but wonder how they brought Selling Sunset back for 7 seasons, 3 of those seasons being pretty much identical, but they cancelled Selling Tampa after one. I'm just really salty about how they did my girls because I really felt like they had a few seasons in them. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so upset that Adam DeVello cancelled it. And Selling the OC got renewed for another season, even though, in my opinion, the first season was kind of dull and lackluster. Quite interesting. Also, I don't know if this is just me, but none of the houses really jumped at me this season. It's crazy. $1 Million Mansions in Beverly Hills, and I was like, nah, I guess. But I think it's the decor. They just seem very dull and dreary and just white and bland. I wasn't really feeling any of them. They all kind of seem very nondescript and blah. But beautiful gowns, I guess.